In that, Mrs. Northey said firmly, you must be guided by us. We have your interests at heart, your best interests, and that should be enough for you. Josephine did not answer, but the manner in which she closed her lips and kept her gaze fixed steadfastly on the floor was far from boding a quiet. Das muss ich gucken. English is Englishing. Da ist es. Werbung, Digga. Okay. Einwilligung. Und wie hört sich das an? Acquiescence. Was far from boding acquiescence. Every feature indeed of her pale face, which only a mass of dark brown hair and a pair of the most brilliant and eloquent eyes, redeemed from the commonplace, expressed a settled determination. Mrs. Northey, who knew something of her sister's disposition, which was also that of the family in general, discerned this and could restrain herself no longer. "You naughty girl!" she cried, with something approaching fury. "Do you think that I don't know what is at the bottom of this? Do you think I don't know that you are pinning and sulking for that hulkish Irish rogue, that the laughing stock of every company? His great feet enter? Lord, miss, by your leave, I'd have you to know we are neither fools nor blind. I've seen your sighings and oglings, your pinnings and sinkings, and so has the town. You may blush." In truth, Josephine's cheeks were dyed scarlet. "My naughty madam, blush you should, that can fancy a raw-boned, uncouth Teague a fine woman would be ashamed to have for a footman. But you shan't have him." Im 18. Jahrhundert hat man anscheinend so geredet. "You may trust me for that, as long as there are bars and bolts in this house, miss." "Josephine," Mr. Northey said in his coldest manner, "I trust that there is nothing in this. I trust that your sister is misinformed." The girl, under the lash of her sister's tongue, had risen from the chair. She tried in vain to recover her composure. "There was nothing, sir," she cried, hysterically. "But after this, there is nothing, sir. But after this, after the words which my sister has used to me, she has only herself to thank, if I please myself and take the gentleman she has named, or any other gentleman." But softly," Mr. Northey rejoined. "Softly, Josephine, if you please. Are you aware that if your brother marries under age and without his guardian's consent, he forfeits £10,000 in your favor, and as much more to your sister? If not, let me tell you that it is so." Josephine stared at him but did not answer. "It is true that your father's will contains no provision for your punishment in the like case. But this clause proves that he expected his children to be guided by the advice of their natural guardians, and for my part, I expect you to be so guided. In the meantime, and that there may be no mistake in the matter, understand, if you please, that I forbid you to hold from this moment any communication with the person who has been named. If I cannot prescribe a match for you, I can at least see that you do not disgrace your family." Das sah ungefähr so aus. Diese Szene. in hübschen Kleidern und diesem Stuhl, der mir so vertraut erscheint und diese Brücke bildet. Sir, she cried, her cheeks burning. But Mr. Northey, a man of slow pulse and the least. Das ist Ihr Schwager, richtig? Ja. I repeat it. I repeat it. For that and nothing else, an alliance with this person would entail. Let there be no misunderstanding on that point. You are innocent of the world, Josephine, and do not understand these distinctions, but I am within the truth when I say that Mr. Hawkesworth is known to be a broken adventurer, moving upon sufferance among persons of condition and owning a character and antecedents that would not for a moment sustain inquiry. How can that be? It is not known who he is. He is not one of us. For the rest, you are right in saying that it is not known who he is. I am told that even the name he bears is not his own. No, it is not, Josephine retorted, and then stood blushing and convicted, albeit with an exultant light in her eyes. No, his name was not his own. She knew that from his own lips, and knew too from his own lips in what a world of romance he moved, what a future he was preparing, what a triumph might be, nay, would be, his by and might be hers. But her mouth was sealed already. Indeed, she had said more than she had the right to say. When Mr. Northey, surprised by her acquiescence, asked with acerbity, Rauheit, acerbity, with acerbity, how she knew that Hawkesworth was not the man's name, and what the man's name was, she stood mute. Wild horses should not draw that from her. But it was natural that her brother-in-law, Schwager, should draw his conclusions, and his brow grew darker. It is plain at least that you have admitted him to a degree of intimacy extremely improper, he said, with more heat than he had yet exhibited. I fear, Josephine, that you are not so good a girl as I believed. However, from this moment you will see that you treat him as a stranger. Do you hear me? Yes, sir. Then I'm not to go with you this evening? This evening? You mean to Vauxhall? And why not, pray? Because if I go, I must see him. And if I see him, I must speak to him, Josephine cried, her breast heaving with generous resentment. I will not pass him by and let him think me everything that is base. For a moment, Mr. Nosey looked a little nonplussed. Then, well, you can bow to him, he said, pluming himself on his discretion in leaving the rein a trifle slack to begin. If he force himself upon you, you will rid yourself of him with a little delay as possible. The mode I leave to you, Josephine, but speech with him I absolutely forbid. You will obey in that one on pain of my most serious displeasure. So Bücher lesen Frauen. Ich habe keine Ahnung, wo führt das hin? Also nur Richtung Drama. On pain of bread and water, Miss, her sister cried, venomously. That will have more effect, I fancy. Lord, for my part, I should die of shame if I thought that I had encouraged a nameless Irish rogue that not good enough to ride behind my coach, and all the town to know it. Dieses Buch sagt so oft Nein, bis es am Ende zu einem Nein mutiert. Rage dried the tears that hung on Josephine's lids. Is that all? Is that all? I should like to go if that is all you have to say to me. I think that is all. Then I may go. He appeared to hesitate. For the first time, his manner betrayed doubt. He looked at his wife and opened his mouth and closed it at length. Yes, I think so. And I trust you will regain our approbation by doing as we wish, Josephine. I'm sorry to say that your brother's conduct at Cambridge has not been all that we could desire. I hope that you will see to it and show yourself more circumspect. I truly hope that you will not disappoint us. Yes, you may go. Josephine waited for no second permission. Her heart bursting, her cheeks burning, she hurried from the room and flew up the stairs to shut herself in a chamber. Here on the second floor, in a room consecrated to thoughts of him and dreams of him, where in a secret nook behind the bow-fronted drawer of a toilet table lay the withered flower he had given her the day he stole her glove. She felt the full wretchedness of her lot. She would see him no more. Her tears gushed forth. Her bosom heaved at the thought. She would see him no more. Or worse, she would see him only in public, at a distance, whence his eyes would stab her for a jilt, a flirt, a cold, heartless, worldly creature, unworthy to live in the same world, unworthy to breathe the same air with constancy. Constancy. And he had been so good to her. He had been so watchful, so assiduous, so delicate. She had fondly, foolishly deemed his court a secret from all. The way to her heart had not been difficult. For him, her father's demise had cast her, a timid country girl, into the vortex of the town, where for a time she had shrunk from the whirl of routs and masquerades, the smirking beaux and loud-voiced misses, among whom she found herself. She had sat mum and abashed in companies where her coarser sister ruled and ranted, where one had shunned and another had flouted the silent, pale-faced girl whose eyes and hair and tall, slender shape just redeemed her from insignificance. Only Mr. Hawkesworth, the Irishman, had discerned in her charms that in a remarkably short time won his regards and fixed his attentions. Only he, with the sensibility of an unspoiled Irish heart, had penetrated the secret of her loneliness, and in company had murmured sympathy in her ear. And at the opera, where he had not the entry to her sister's box, had hung on her looks from afar, speaking more sweetly with his fine eyes than Monticelli or Amorevoli sang on the stage. For Sir Harvey, his would-be rival, the taciturn middle-aged man who was Harvey to have the man about town, and coke to three-fourths of the women, who gamed with the same nonchalance with which he made his court. He might be the pink of fashion in his dull, mooning way, but he had nothing that caught her 18-year-old fancy. On the contrary, he had a habit of watching her, when Hawkesworth was present, at the mere remembrance of which her cheek flamed. For that alone, and in any event, she hated him, and would never, never marry him. They might rob her of her dear Irishman, they might break her heart, so her thoughts ran to the tremolo of a passion, a sob. They might throw her into a decline, but they should never, never compel her to take him. She would live on bread and water for a year first. She was fixed on that and would ever remain so. Es ist sehr gut geschrieben. Und mittlerweile träume ich auch von diesen Männern. Pause. Meanwhile, downstairs, the two who remained in the room she had left kept silence until her footsteps ceased to sound on the stairs. Then Mr. Narsey permitted his discontent to appear. I wish, after all I had told her. Hang it, ma'am. Do you hear? He continued, looking irritably at his wife. I wish I had taken my own line, and that is a fact. Then you wish you had been a fool, Mr. Narsey. Dieses Mr. und Mrs. Narsey, die nennen sich gegenseitig Herr und der Nachname. Do you think that this silly girl would rest content or let us rest until you had followed her dear brother Tom and brought him back from his charmer? Not she. And for him, if you are thinking of him, he was always a rude cub and bound for the dogs one day or other. What? Does it matter whether he is ruined before he is of age or after? It matters to us, Mr. Narsey answered. It may matter 10,000 to us if we mind our own business. So do you let him be for a day or two? It matters as much to Josephine, he said, trying to find excuses for himself and his inaction. And why not? There will be so much the more to bind Coke to us. Coke ist ein Mann, oder? He has plenty now. Much once more, Mr. Narsey. Of course, the thing may be done already. For all we know, the match is made, and 'tis too late to interfere. Your brother was always willful, and it is not likely the woman would let him go for a word. On the other hand, there is no other hand, she cried, out of patience with his weakness. I tell you, let be. Let the boy marry whom he pleases, and when he pleases. 'Tis no matter fouls. Still, I wish this Tudor had not written to us. If the knot was not tied yesterday, there are persons enough will tie it today for half a guinea. It is not as if you were his only guardian. His father chose another elsewhere. Das ist das Problem. Ich weiß nicht, wer da von wem redet. Ich weiß es nur ungefähr. Let him look to it. The girl is charge enough for us. And for her, she benefits as much as we do if he's foolish. Also da ist Josephine, die soll einen bestimmten Mann heiraten, wegen wahrscheinlich dem Geld. Aber sie steht auf den Irishman. So sehe ich das. Aber wer ist Coke? Das verstehe ich nicht ganz. Und wieso haben die Tom erwähnt? Na, ist auch egal. I'm afraid of this great teak of hers. He's no Irishman if it doesn't send a fortune a mile off. Vielleicht bin ich auch nicht so gut in Romanen, weil das soll vielleicht so sein, dass man die nicht kennt und erst langsam kennenlernt. Und am Anfang ist es ein Chaos und daraus entsteht dann der Strang. And once let him learn that she's worth 16,000 pounds instead of 6,000. And he'll off with her from under our very noses. It's that Irish register has done the mischief. Mr. Narsey cried, jumping up with an oath. She's in there, in print, under her own name, to be sure, as a fortune, and her address. Do you mean it, Mr. Narsey? Printed in the book, is it? It is, as I say. Hang their impudence, his wife cried, in astonishment. Was ist da jetzt passiert? Ein Vermittler hat da einen Brief geschrieben, in dem das halt steht, mit diesen 10.000. Vom Vater. Sowas habe ich schon mal gelesen. Wo der Vater unbedingt was will, was sein Kind macht. Die heulen eh nur wegen dem Geld. But there's just this. We can show the entry to the girl, and if it don't open her eyes, nothing will. Do you get a copy of the book, Mr. Northey? And we'll show it to her tomorrow and put her on the notion every Irishman has it by heart. And as soon as we can, we must get her married to Coke. Vielleicht heißt der Coke Hawksworth. Das kann sein. Oder ist der Irishman Hawksworth? Wir werden sie irgendwann erfahren. Also Coke ist der, mit dem sie verheiratet werden soll. There'll be no certainty till she's wedded. To would have been done this fortnight. If he were not just such a mumptious fool as the girl herself, he may look very wise, and the town may think him so. But there's more than looking wanted with a woman. And for what I see, he's a big a fool as many that never saw Pall Mall. I've never found him that, Mr. Northey answered. He spoke with reason, for he had more than once as heir to a peerage taken on himself to set Sir Hervey right. Sir Hervey, das war wahrscheinlich der Vater? With so conspicuous a lack of success that he had begun to suspect that his brother member's silence was not dullness, nay, that he himself came late into that secret. Or why was Coke so well with that great wit and fashionable Hanbury Williams, with Henry Fox and my Lord Chesterfield, with young Lord Lincoln, the very quarry of match-making mothers, no less than with Tom, against whom no young virgin embarking on life failed of warning? Mr. Northey knew that in the company of these and their like he was no favourite, whilst Coke was at home, and he did with difficulty a sneaking fear of his colleague, what a man so highly regarded and so well received saw in a girl who, in Mr. Northey's eyes, appeared every way inferior to her loud, easy, fashionable sister. And it passed the honourable member to conceive, but the thing was so. Sir Hervey had spoken the 3 or 4 words beyond which he seldom went. The venture had been made, and now if there was one thing upon which Mr. Northey's dogged mind was firmly fixed, it was that an alliance so adventurous should not be lost to the family. But Josephine is prudent, he said, combating his own fears. She has always been obedient and well-behaved. I am sure she's a good girl, and will see what is right when it is explained to her. If she does not, she will see sorrow. His wife answered truculently. She had neither forgotten nor forgiven the sneer about Methusalem. I'll tell you what it is, Mr. Northey. She takes you in with her pale, peaky face and her round eyes. But if ever there was a nasty, obstinate little toad, she's one. And you'll find it out by and by. And so will Coke to his cost some day. Still you think we can bend her this time? Oh, she'll marry him. I'll answer for that. But I would not be Coke afterwards. In a year when all the world was flocking to the new rotunda in Ranelagh Gardens, Mr. Northey would be particular and have her evening party to Vauxhall. Open air was the fashion of the time, and it was from her seat at the open window in Arlington Street that she welcomed her guests. Thence, as each newcomer appeared, she shouted her greeting, often in terms that convulsed the chairman at the corner. Or now and again, hanging far out, she turned her attention and wit to the carpenters working late on Sir Robert's house next door, and stated in good round phrases her opinion of the noise they made. When nearly all her company were assembled and the room was full of women languishing and swimming, and of men mincing and prattling and tapping their snuff boxes, Josephine stole in and, creeping into a corner, hid herself behind two jolly nymphs who, with hoops 6 feet wide and cheeks as handsome as crimson could make them, were bandying jokes and horseplay with the tall admirer. In this retreat, Josephine fancied that she might hide her sad looks until the party set out, and great was her dismay when, venturing at last to raise her eyes, she discovered that she had placed herself beside, nay, almost touching, the man whom of all others she wished to avoid, the detested Coke, who, singularly enough, had sought the same retirement a few moments earlier. Haben sie doch was gemeinsam. In the confusion of the moment, she recoiled a step. The events of the day had shaken her nerves. Then, "I beg your pardon, sir, I did not see that you were there," she stammered. "No," he said with a smile, "I know you did not, child, or you would have gone to the other end of the room. Now confess, is it not so?" She shrugged her shoulders. "As you please, sir. I would not venture to contradict you." And courtesying satirically, she turned away her face. At any rate, he should lie in no doubt of her feelings. He did not answer. And welcome as his silence was, something like contempt of a suitor who aspired to have without daring to speak took possession of her. Under the influence of this feeling, embittered by the rating she had received that morning, she fell to considering him out of the tail of her eye. But in spite of herself, she could not deny that he was personable, that his features, if a trifle set and lacking vivacity, Lebhaftigkeit, vivacity, were good, and despairing that of a gentleman at ease in his company. Before, she had well weighed him, however, or done more than compare him with the fop who stood before her. And those whose muff and quilted coat, long queue, and black leather stock were in the extreme of the fashion. Sir Harvey spoke again. "Why does it not please you?" "To do what, sir?" "To be beside me." "I did not say it did not, but it does not. I suppose, child, your sister has told you what my views are?" "Yes, sir." "And what do you say?" That I am much obliged to you, but they are not mine." Jos- that 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 I am much obliged to you, but they are not mine. Josephine answered, with a rush of words and color, and punished as she had been that morning, it must be confessed she cruelly enjoyed the stroke. For a moment only, then to her astonishment and dismay, Sir Harvey laughed. "That is what you say now? What will you say if by and by, when we know one another better, we get on as well together as Lady Josephine there and Lord Lincoln?" "Never." "Indeed. But pray, what do you know about Lord Lincoln? I suppose you think I know no scandal?" "I would prefer you to know as little as possible." Okay. uh, in the tone she fancied which she would have used had she been already his property. And there's another thing I would also prefer you did not know. Die sagen immer pray. Pray, what is that? Rede. Was meinst du? She cried. Und die weinen die ganze Zeit. Im Jahre 1700. Und ein paar zerquetschte. Openly scornful, and she flirted her fan a little faster. Mr. Hawksworth. The blood rushed to her cheeks. Aha, Mr. Hawksworth ist also der Russe, hätte ich jetzt fast gesagt. Der Ire. The blood rushed to her. This was too much. Are you jealous? Or only impertinent? She asked, her voice not less furious because it was low and guarded. How noble, how chivalrous to say behind a gentleman's back what you would not dare to say to his face. He shrugged his shoulder. He's not a gentleman. He's not one of us. And he's not fit company for you. I do not know what story he has told you, nor what cards he has played. But I know that what I say is true. Be advised, child, and look on him coldly when you see him next. Be sure if you do not, you will speak to my sister, she cried. If you have not done it already, Lord, sir, I congratulate you. I'm sure you have discovered quite a new style of wooing. Next, I suppose you will have me sent to my room and put on bread and water for a week, or buried in a personage in the country with Tillotson's sermons and the holy living? Hä?